Hello everyone, welcome to ZMUni's webinar about understanding GACC registration for overseas food manufacturers. I'm Kimberly and your speaker for today. As the market for imported food continues to grow in China, it is crucial for overseas manufacturers to comply with the regulations set by the China Customs. Today, we will walk you through GACC registration, covering key regulations, the registration process, requirements, and some compliance tips, also the latest regulatory updates. Okay, let's begin with an introduction first. According to the 2024 China Import Development Report, China's food imports have shown a continuous upward trend, growing from $9.366 billion in 2001 to $217.127 billion in 2023, an increase of nearly 22 times. And China's share of global food imports has also risen from nearly 2% in 2001 to about 12% in 2023. Over the past decade, imports have been dominated by 6 key categories. That is meat, grains, seafood, fruits, dairy products, and vegetable oils. In recent years, demand has not only continued to grow, but has also become more diverse and personalized, driving new requirements for imported food supply in China. However, as the market expands and diversifies, regulatory compliance has become more critical than ever. Since 2024, China Customs non-compliant list of imported food has shown a fluctuating yet rising trend in rejections. The GACC registration issue remain a common reason for import rejections, though the relevant regulations have been in place for over 3 years. As you may already know, GACC stands for the General Administration of Customs of China. And here is the official website of GACC, which has an English version. However, the information is not very equivalent to the Chinese version. And the GACC is responsible for overseeing the safety of imported and exported food, as well as entry and exit, inspection, and quarantine. Additionally, it manages the registration of overseas food manufacturers. On April 12, 2021, GACC issued the new decree number 249 called Measures of China for the Administration of Import and Export Food Safety. The Article 18 states that the General Administration of Customs shall exercise registration on overseas production enterprises that export food to China and promulgate a name list of enterprises that have been registered. I've provided the website where you can search the list of registered enterprises. The disclosed information here includes product categories, China registration number, overseas registration number, and the name of the enterprises, also the addresses, the registration date, and more. If you encounter any issues while searching, I'm here to help. Now let's back to the regulations. On the same day, April 12, 2021, Decree number 248 was also issued, titled Regulations on the on the registration and administration of overseas manufacturers of imported food. Decree number 248, along with Decree number 249, officially came into effect on January 1st, 2022, significantly impacting food exporters seeking market entry in China. Okay, now that we've covered the importance of GACC registration and its impact on food exporters, let's dive into the details about the registration process and the requirements. Firstly is about the registration scope. Under Decree number 248, GACC registration is required only for overseas manufacturers engaged in the production, processing, and storage of food. This requirement does not extend to manufacturers of food additives and food-related products. Regarding the registration conditions, all the requirements for the manufacturers, Article 5 of Decree number 248 outlines that, number 1, the food safety management system of the country or region where the manufacturer is located should pass GACC's equivalence assessment or review. Number 2, the manufacturer was established with approval by the competent authority of the country or region, and the manufacturer is under effective regulation by the competent authority. And number 3 is the manufacturer has an established effective food safety and sanitation management system and protection system. Here I underscored this sentence, which means that is quite important. The manufacturers should ensure that foods exported to China comply with relevant Chinese laws, regulations, and the national food safety standards. The last one is that food exporting to China should conform with relevant inspections and quarantine requirements that have been agreed upon after discussion by the GACC and the competent authorities of the exporting country or region. Now let's move to the key part, that is how to register with the GACC. Actually, there are two main pathways. One is official recommendations, which is suitable for food under 18 specified categories, and the other is the self-registration or the application for registration by a manufacturer or his entrusted agent. That way is suitable for food other than 18 specified categories. Now let's look at these slides. For the first type, overseas manufacturers of 18 food categories must be recommended by the exporting country or region's regulatory authority to GACC for registration. I listed all the 18 categories here for your reference. Products, food products such as meat, dairy products, edible oils, egg, edible grains, condiments, nuts and seeds, also special dietary foods, health foods, and here special dietary foods refer to foods like infant formula foods, foods for special medical purpose, nutrition supplementary food, and sports nutrition food, and more. While if your products fall outside the 18 categories, you can apply for registration independently or choose a professional service provider like us. With extensive experience, we have successfully and efficiently completed the registration for various products, such as beverages, chocolate, solid drinks, baked coffee beans, candies, and chips, and also other pre-packaged foods. Additionally, we offer food compliance services such as product labeling, packaging, and formula review to help you achieve swift regulatory compliance before exporting food to China. Now, if you want to register by yourself, here is the registration website. It has both the Chinese and English version. As for the application materials, if your product falls under a category needs an official recommendation, please contact the relevant local authorities such as the Agriculture Bureau or the Commerce Bureau. The responsible regulatory body may vary by countries, and you can apply to them directly. And for foods outside the 18 categories, food manufacturers shall apply directly to the GACC or entrust an agent to submit the registration applications. The materials required are listed here. Number one is the application forms for registration. Number two is the documents certifying the identification of the manufacturer, such as business license. And number three is a statement by the manufacturer that it conforms with the requirements of these regulations. If you are unsure how to complete the applications, you can entrust ZMUni. We have templates and can help you complete the process quickly. Now, after submitting the required documents, GACC or GACC entrusted institutions will set up a review team to conduct evaluations and the reviews of the overseas manufacturers. The evaluation is conducted in forms of such as document review, video inspection, and or maybe on-site inspection. Based on our experience, products registered through official recommendations are more likely to be selected for on-site for inspections. Usually, a review team is composed of 2 or more reviewers, overseas manufacturers of imported foods, and the competent authority of the exporting country or region shall assist the GACC in carrying out the aforementioned evaluations and review. After the review is approved, GACC will send an email to the manufacturers or the entrusted agent. Now it's about the post-registration. The registration is valid for 5 years. During the valid period, if there are any changes to the registration information, they must submit a change application to the GACC, along with a comparison table of the changes to the registration items and supporting documents related to the changes. If GACC deems the changes acceptable after evaluation, it will approve the changes. However, suppose the changes involve the production site, legal representative, or the registration number granted by the country or region, a new registration application must be submitted, and the existing GACC registration number will automatically become invalid. Overseas manufacturers that need to renew their registration must apply to the GACC within 3 to 6 months before the registration expires. Apply to the GACC or renewal of registration through the registration application path. Application materials for registration renewal shall include: Number 1, an application for renewal of registration. Number 2, statement promising to continuously conform with the registration requirements, and the GACC shall renew the registration that conform with the requirements and extend the valid period of registration for another 5 years. Next, part 3, let's go over some key compliance points that are crucial for a successful GACC registration. Before exporting food to China, overseas food-related enterprises must first determine whether GACC registration is required for their products. It is important to note that not all food-related business fall under the requirement. Manufacturers engaged in production, processing, and storage of food additives and food-related products, such as the packaging materials, containers, detergents, used in food processing are not required to undergo GACC registration. We often encounter food companies seeking our assistance in applying for a GACC registration number. So our first step is always to refer to the categories specified in the regulations and to determine the appropriate application method for their products. For example, chicken feet, it falls under the official recommendation, and for the coffee beans, it depends on different situations. If your product is unbaked coffee beans, then it should be recommended by the competent authorities. While if your product is baked coffee beans, then you can apply for the self-registration. Other products we are often being asked is like olive oils, which is required for official recommendations, solid drinks, which is required for self-registrations, and also protein bars or protein drinks that are required for self-registrations, and we can offer this kind of services. Now let's go over some frequently asked questions. Firstly is, what is the language requirement for documents submitted? According to the Article 11 of Decree number 248, the application materials for manufacturer registration shall be submitted in Chinese or English. However, submitting documents entirely in Chinese can increase the likelihood of approval on the first attempt. Second one is that, can an overseas manufacturer apply for multiple accounts? One overseas manufacturer can only apply for one company account. However, a single production site or enterprise can apply for multiple GACC registration numbers for different product categories. For example, if Company A produces orange juice, cookies, and candy, it must apply for 3 separate GACC registration numbers. In contrast, if Company B produces different flavors of solid drinks, all 3 products must undergo GACC registration and review. However, since they fall under the same category, solid drinks, so they share a single registration number. If the company later adds new flavors for export, it can apply to GACC for a modification to include the new flavors. Number 3 is that, what is the language required? Number 3 is about the language requirement Oh, sorry. Number 3 is about the registration number. How should the registration number be marked? The GACC food products that have obtained GACC registration must display their registration number on the Chinese label when sold in China. And here are some examples of imported food products currently being sold in China. All right, in the last part, I would like to highlight some of the latest policies. On January 3rd, 2025, GACC released a draft regulation on the registration and administration of overseas manufacturers of imported food. The draft is expected to take effect in the second half of 2025. Compared to Decree number 248, the main changes in this draft for comment are as follows. Changes in registration methods and conditions. Under the previous regulations, the registration process was relatively straightforward, primarily relying on self-registration or official recommendation. However, the draft introduces a more convenient registration method for self-registration enterprises by linking manufacturer registration to GACC recognition of the food safety system. For products requiring self-registration, if a foreign country or region's food safety system is recognized by GACC, then the enterprises would no longer need to apply individually through the online platform and wait for GACC to review and assign a registration number. Instead, the list of recommended enterprises submitted by the competent authority is likely to be directly approved and granted the registration number. The second change is about the categories which should follow the official recommendations from 18 to 11. So Decree number 248 states that 18 categories should fall under the official recommendations, while this draft remove seven categories, such as bee products, edible oils and fats, condiments or seasonings, house foods, special dietary foods. This adjustment reflects the GACC's principle of risk-based optimization of classification management. If implemented, this move will accelerate the market entry and the circulation of foreign products in China, promote import trade, and stimulate market innovation. Also, the draft for comment specifies exemptions for overseas manufacturers in certain situations. Foods sent via mail, express delivery, cross-border e-commerce retail, or carried by travelers, as well as samples, gifts, promotion items, exhibition goods, and aid products and duty-free goods are exempt from registration requirements. This draft offers clear guidance to relevant industries. All right, now let's make a summary. So the draft aims to streamline registration for overseas food manufacturers. Key changes include, number 1, fewer product categories requiring official recommendation, allowing certain products such as house foods to be self-registered. Number 2, stronger oversight by local competent authorities, enabling self-registration companies to seek recommendation locally if their country's food safety system is recognized by GACC. And the number 3, clear and simplified requirements for materials. The number 4 is that new exemptions from registration, such as cross-border e-commerce, transactions and products for exhibitions. Okay, finally, please allow me a few minutes to introduce our company briefly. ZMUni Compliance Centre is a professional compliance service provider based in China and serving the world. We focus on providing comprehensive and high-quality compliance solutions for companies in the cosmetics, food, and relevant ingredient industries, helping products enter the global market quickly and safely. For business involved in import and export, we offer tailored support in areas such as import-export customs clearance, GACC registrations, CITES permits, and more. Our team have years of experience in cosmetics and food customs clearance, offering reliable solutions, and we've successfully handled over 10 million clearance cases, specializing in global cosmetics and food compliance. Also, we offer food compliance services such as ingredient and labeling reviews for prepackaged food, as well as health food registration and notification. We also offer food compliance around the world, such as GACC certification in the US, novel food or new food additive application in Thailand, in the EU, and in Brazil. Okay, so that's all for today. Thank you so much for attending, and I hope these insights I shared will be valuable for your work and help you navigate the Chinese market smoothly. If you have any questions or would like to discuss further, feel free to reach out to us via email or LinkedIn anytime. We are quite active on LinkedIn, where we regularly share the latest regulatory updates. So be sure to follow ZMUni and me also to stay informed. And before you go, we'd really appreciate if you could take a moment to complete our webinar survey. Your feedback helps us improve future sessions. Thank you again, and see you next time.